All right, let's get to this story. Now, for those who don't know, we're going to be talking about a story that came out of some coverage of this guy, Paco the Panda. Now, this has been covered a little bit by Mama Akko, covered in one of her streams. You can see that on her stream entitled Why I Left Under the Tea. And she talks about this guy who she met, Paco the Panda. Now, I did a stream on VTuber managers and, what to be aware of and what to be careful with. And I did get reached out to by a couple of people that I believe are good actors. They're people that call themselves managers, but they were like, look, I just want to clarify what we do and that we're important, et cetera, et cetera. But my response to them, and some of them I still need to follow up with, but my response is, no, I get it. There's roles that are important for creators, but they don't need to call you a manager. And calling you a manager is dangerous, just like calling you a talent agent. That's something that's specifically regulated. Well, this is going to come up with the sort of words that they're using and how this is potentially able for a huge amount of abuse, especially when you're a small VTuber who doesn't know what the fuck you're signing. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a great example of what I'm trying to warn people about getting involved with these people, because they promise you the moon, they promise you X, Y, and Z, and they honeypot you in, much like a Typhlosion, right, with their green and red nuts, right? They honeypot you in, and then you ultimately end up with, let's say, a child you got to take care of, right? It's quite weird. So we're going to get into that background. So this person, Paco the Panda, which once again, I'm going to focus more on the contract, but I want to give you some background. Apparently had both negative interactions with both Mama Akko and Juny, who Juny's backstage. She talks about the things that this person did. Stuff like coming in when they first started, right? Trying to sell you on their credibility, build your confidence, hype up people they've worked with, right? And here's some really interesting stuff. Allowing you to move into a family house for low rent. Well, now you feel indebted to this person for something they did IRL, which is why you should really have a huge separation between your IRL stuff and your business, right? This is where these lines get blurry, and this is where shit gets messy, and you should never do something like this. I mean, I know that people are in bad situations, and I know you do it because, you're in a sort of situation, you're in a certain way, but this is where it gets messy because you agree to stuff you wouldn't otherwise agree and do things you wouldn't otherwise do because you feel indebted to somebody. Offered to help you get work. Almost sold me a car, right? Almost moved me into his house. That's crazy, right? And then talking about other red flags, right? Talking shit about previous talents. That's like talking shit about exes, right? Anybody who does that, the problem is probably with them, not with the exes, right? Whether it's with coworkers or dating, right? Always busy with so many projects, only talked occasionally, huge red flag. Previous VTubers left. That's a big one, right? Other talents warned me that he would forget me. Refused to talk about any contracts until I made money. Constant reminders about this is what it takes, there's no other way. Constantly told to get rid of friends who bring you down. Constantly told in person the friends are dead weight, so trying to isolate you. Constantly reaffirmed, if you ever leave, I'll never touch you again and never offer you anything. Felt that was nothing without a success. Felt success was only because of him. So this is extreme gaslighting, right? And that's all red. Those are all red flags. But what I want to really focus on is this contract. And I've got a copy of this contract that went out to everybody. But before I get into that contract, let's see if Juny is, just in case. But we're going to go through this actual document. And that is what I mainly want to go through, is the legal side of this. Because the legal side is bad enough, even without any of the personal details. So I don't need to get into any of the personal details for this to be bad. So let's go over here. Let's go on the side here. And let me blow this up. Okay, so here's this agreement. Now, Juny did not enter into this agreement, and I'm not sure anybody else entered into this agreement either. Well, sorry, excuse me. I'm not sure who entered this agreement, but I know that other talents apparently did. This is kind of the staple agreement that this person had. Now, I think Juny had a custom version that was detailed for you, detailed for her, that she made. This version was apparently distributed, so other people did receive this version. Now, she had like an MOU version, memorandum of understanding version, which was just as bad, but this one has a little bit more details. So first of all, we have a talent agent agreement. Now, one thing I want to bring your attention to in this, reviewing this, is that this is a talent agent agreement, right? So this is actually really problematic because this word means something. A talent agent, especially under, for example, California law, has very specific rights and responsibilities. So whenever anybody calls himself a talent agent, that actually brings on them a number of responsibilities, whether they know that or not. And they may not be something, not be aware of that. Mama Aqua says she never saw this, but this is something I never received from. Okay, cool. But that said, if you call yourself a talent agent, you take on certain responsibilities and certain power. And this is a talent agent is a true manager in a sense, because there's certain things they can do on your behalf, whether or not you agree to them. Like, for example, a talent agent can enter into an agreement on your behalf without your consent. You've consented by hiring them to allow them to do that, to allow them to negotiate that. So that's something you need to be very, very, very careful about with these names. This is why I kind of got on the manager side, because of the implication for managers, right? But yeah. In consideration of the covenants contained herein, the parties, you, Talent, and Juniper Center, the agency, which is Paco Panda, say as follows: exclusive representation. So the agency shall serve as your sole talent agent, meaning you can't join an actual agency. This person is just some individual. He's just some fucking schlub out there, right? Some loser, right? Who is going to be the only person you can go to. So you cannot go anywhere else in connection with any other opportunities, marketing, talenting, whatever, right? Huge red flag. Because especially as a small independent creator, why should you be limiting yourself to opportunities presented by this dipshit, right? You should be able to go and get whatever you want to get from whoever, whether or not this person is involved. And he should only have a take on what he brings in. And it's fine if you want to come into some sort of agreement that, hey, if you bring me in business, you get a percent. That's actually fair. But that's not what this agreement says. This agreement does not say that this guy's going to kind of keep what he kills. He's going to get a percent of what he brings in. That would be fair. This says, no, you're sole agent and you're going to give me money from everything. We're going to get to that. As used in this agreement, gaming talent means any proposed or actual engagement related to employment. That's everything. Activity, contract, retention, agreement, endorsements, appearance fees, freelance work, per diem work, team affiliation, representation, at-will engagements, gaming engagement. So pretty much anything, right, surrounding video games as a content creator, on-air talent, coach, esports player, reporter, host, analyst. So anything revolving gaming is involved there. A gaming talent opportunity is any contract with any organization, whether that's Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, regarding competitions, recordings to be distributed on television, webcast, or streaming, not limited to Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Netflix, Hulu. A marketing opportunity, right, is any engagement, is any employment, activity, work agreement regarding your name, nickname, initials, autograph, facsimile signature, photograph, likeness, or endorsement. So this person now has rights over your fucking name. So you're giving this person rights over your name, initials, autograph, signature, photograph, likeness, endorsement. So literally, if you went out there and did signatures and people were paying for your signatures, you owe this person money, right? People need to be careful what they sign. And here's the thing. and by the way, here's the big part on both of them. This is irrespective of whether it was procured by you, by an agency, by the third party, or by you. So once again, for you, by an agency, third party, you. So meaning no matter where this comes from, even if this person does zero fucking work, you have to pay them. Even if they do zero work, you have to pay them. Agency will actively and diligently assist in planning of your career goals. What the fuck is that? I can plan your career goals for free. Here's your career goals. Ready? Ready? Make good content. Print money. Here's your career goals. I mean, seriously, make good content, start making money. Oh, there's your career goals. There you got it. There's your career goals. We just did that for free. Saved you one scam contract. Okay. And they're going to assist you in the entertainment, music, television, literary, motion picture industry. How the fuck are they going to do that? Do they have any connections at all? No, of course not. On your behalf, agency will negotiate all proposed agreements, contract renewals, extensions, renegotiations, substitution amendments, or modifications related to the gaming talent opportunity or marketing opportunity arising during the term hereof, with the goals set forth by you. Subject to your obligation, you must send the agency materials of your performance of any opportunity. So you've got this duty to them to report everything you're doing. Agency will render such advice, guidance, counsel to develop and further your professional career. So they're not promising you anything. They're saying, I'm going to give you occasional advice. That could be like, go get them, Tiger. Go get them, Tiger. Agency shall use reasonable efforts to procure any gaming talent or opportunities for you. However, agency is not required to render exclusive services to you. It is understood that agency will be reasonably available to perform services required. Nothing contained will be construed as limiting their right to represent other talents. So they're going to essentially give you no attention and be trying to get these contracts signed by about 1 million people. Your responsibility is on a monthly basis to keep communicating and to send them all the opportunities you have regarding advancement, problems, plans for esports, gaming, marketing, and any opportunities you receive. Also, you have to send them copies of your resume, your work, your tapes, your broadcast, and activities. The term is 1 year, terminating on whenever the date signed, and shall be automatically renewed on a 3-year basis. Right? And you need to give 60 days notice to terminate, right? You can give it by email, and it's subject to further conditions. And here's some of the other conditions. And here's the payment, right? So let's get to the juicy stuff. Any sponsorship, they take 20%. So any sponsorship, whether or not they bring it in, they take 20%. Okay? So it doesn't matter if you get it, they take 20%. Event-based talent opportunity, right? Considered 5 or less total event days. You give them 10% of gross income. 10% of gross income of any event you go to, regardless of whether or not you bring it in. Regardless of who hires that. Like if you're just hired for an event, 10%. Long-term negotiated contract, 8% of gross income. So you get a long-term contract. Let's say it's with Twitch, whatever else. Once again, regardless of who brings that in, you're paying that out. Maybe you get a long-term signing with a brand, right? You've got to pay that whether or not they brought it in. Any and all payments to agency during the gaming talent opportunity and marketing opportunity shall be referred to as talent agent fees. Once again, I think that if this person may not know, this actually brings them under regulation. So they actually are probably they're probably doing this illegally because you typically have to have a license to be a talent agent. So they're probably operating illegally without a license. So they're probably an illegal talent agent, right? That hasn't received the proper licensing and credentials for a talent agent. I mean, maybe they are, who knows, right? I don't know for sure, but I'm making an educated guess that they probably are. Additional details. Expenses incurred as a result of any work are not subject to agency fees. They're only apply to new work generated. Does not apply to any pre-existing contract that predates the agency relationship. Well, that's obvious based on how contract law works, right? You are irrevocably obligated to pay for each of these opportunities and forward it to the agency, right? And you have to do that within 10 days. You also have an obligation. Here's the crazy part, right? Beyond the term of the agreement. Upon the termination, you shall nevertheless be obligated to pay agency 4% of payments from gaming opportunities and 20% from marketing opportunities. So even after you terminate this bullshit contract, you have to continue, even if they're doing nothing for you, even if you're doing nothing, you have to pay 20%, right? Ridiculous. To be entitled to the payment of compensation after termination between you and the agency shall be obliged to serve you and perform obligations with respect to any employment contract or extensions or renewals of contract. Well, what are they doing? They're supposed to, you've terminated the contract, so they're no longer giving advice. So how are they, quote unquote, serving you? There's no obligations for them. Obligations in breach. In the event one party contends the other party is a breach of the agreement, the non-breaching party shall provide written notice to the breaching party via certified mail or email, informing the breaching party of the grounds of the purported breach with specificity and the steps the breaching party should take to cure the breach. The breaching party shall have 30 days to cure such breach before the non-breach party initiates any legal action. That's fine. That part's fine. Miscellaneous. Okay, here we go. Here's some fun parts. You acknowledge that you have been encouraged to speak and consult with an attorney of your own choosing regarding this agreement and represent that you have either done so or are hereby expressly waiving your right to do so. In either event, you acknowledge that you have carefully read the terms of this agreement, fully understand it, and have all your questions about it, if any, answered to your satisfaction. Further, you acknowledge this agreement has been negotiated in good faith between you and the agency and consists of the final complete agreement between you and the agency. Well, good thing we've got a lawyer reviewing this. And if you had any lawyer reviewing this with you, they would tell you don't sign this bullshit, right? If you want to do a one-off coaching with this guy, right? That's fine, right? You can go do a one-off coaching with this person. But I doubt highly that this person was giving advice that's worth 20% of a marketing opportunity, right? I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Further, except as set forth in this agreement, no representation warranties are being made relied upon by you entering this agreement. It is understood that by you that the agency is being retained by you solely as a talent agent company and not an employment agency. So once again, talent agent specific meaning. Further, notwithstanding, one or more of the agency's directors, officers, or employees may have law degrees and law license. Wait, what? Who's a lawyer? So someone's a lawyer and they wrote this? Maybe this is some standard provision. It's not in Florida, by the way. It's not in Florida, by the way. But in this case, you acknowledge and agree that none of the agency nor its directors, employees are being retained as your attorneys and will not be acting as your attorneys or providing you legal advice. You know how much unauthorized legal advice is out there? There's so many people that are just giving legal advice when they shouldn't be. Remember we reviewed that manager's website, or at least the text from the manager's website, where they said they literally do contract review, but they said, oh yeah, we're not a lawyer, but we'll review your contract. Well, then your review is fucking worthless because you can't render an opinion on it, a legal opinion that gives you, okay, X, Y, Z, right? It's really not worth that. Not worth anything if you're not having a lawyer review it. Furthermore, you acknowledge that during the term thereof, agency may render similar services to others, including to the persons of same general qualifications as you who have been presented with similar opportunities. So they're going to have these agreements with a lot of people. You acknowledge the potential for conflict of interest, if not the likelihood, and hereby waive. So you're waiving conflicts. That's big, right? Either party may seek during arbitration. So they're saying we're going to go to arbitration if there's any fighting, not litigation, right? The interim award of legal fees in connection with an arbitration. Okay, cool. This can go before a court of competent jurisdiction, so meaning kind of local court. Let's see if there's anything else here. You can do this by email, and your signature or valid facsimile is enough to execute the contract. This is by agency Juniper Center with you, the talent. So there we go. That's the 5-page kind of compensation agreement that we have for this. Of course, this is not the only thing. They also had a management agreement but that is separate. That is separate. Mama Akko's gave me a DM. She said, if you're curious at what he helped me with, it was roughly thumbnail advice, description advice, which once again, if you figure out how to make a basic thumbnail, that's pretty easy. You can watch a YouTube course for $5 or even for free, right? On thumbnails, descriptions, which doesn't matter that much. Some info about where to stream, how to stream. Anybody can give that to you. Info about making things like logos that may or may not be useful, but once again, one off. He also apparently got someone from a big organization to look at videos for me, but I could not verify this, so I don't know if it's true. Yeah, it probably isn't true. A big organization? Who is that, right? And why not just hire that person in the big organization to begin with, right? So why not just hire them to begin with? Now, I know why not, because of the personal parts, right? The parasocial parts, etc. But if he has to go to someone above him, then why not just go directly to that person? I know it's crazy talk, right? Now, real quick, I wanted to go over one of the screenshots. Now, this is really fucked up. And this is where I tell you guys the relationship, that's the contract. The contract was garbage. But this is where the relationship gets kind of dark. And this is where stuff, I worry about small creators because they have to deal with shit like this. So here's a message I saw, a thread from this guy, Paco, right? Who has a fucking creepy logo, which is the inspiration for that human god thumbnail I made there, because I kind of thought of like the creepy human god grin on that. But it's crazy the lies Mama Akko has said, and I'm still getting random DMs. Should I reveal everything about her? I wanted to keep quiet, but getting all these attacks is kind of annoying. 100 likes and I will share the tea, right? No worries. Mama Akko shared a ton with me. So literally trying to blackmail somebody, right? This is why you got to be very fucking careful with these people. Keep them at arm's length. Don't get that involved with them. And yeah. But anyway, speaking of which, we've got a certain ferret in the house.
The line was held.
The line was held. You made it. You made it. You made it just in time.
Yes. Yes. Hello, chat.
Yes. The chat. Say hello to Juny. Welcome back. Actually, it's been a while.
I know it has been.
You made some upgrades.
Yes, I have.
Yes. So I went over that talent agreement. Now, to be very clear, you didn't sign that or anything.
No, I would not be your friend if I did.
I would excommunicate you. I'd be like, Juny, I bore you in the I gave birth to you from the Braku Niji contract. How dare you go sign a Braku America contract, right? How dare you go do that? Just because it's made by an American doesn't make it less horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. I didn't sign it.
Do you want to give some background on like how you met this person and how you kind of got wrapped up in this yourself?
Yeah. So, and I'll go like into like deep dive and kind of like share like the full story on Wednesday.
Yeah, sure.
That. But just to kind of like, if you've watched Akko's VOD, which I highly encourage everyone to like go watch that, go elevate their story, because it's like a really heartbreaking one, and everyone should go like elevate them because they were very brave for speaking out the way they did. Whenever all that was going down, I was in the background. I didn't say anything because I'm smart and didn't get involved. But I was in the background, and Akko was the one that kind of like put my name forward to kind of go under them. And while our like interactions were like he didn't like do or say anything to me, but there was just like things that happened between like him and Akko and like under the tea and everything, where I was like, hey, I'm gonna need a lot of reassurance in writing to continue forward with you. And the biggest thing I requested was an MOU. I didn't request a contract. I requested a memorandum of understanding,
which I've also got.
Yeah, that was not what I received. It was a contract in disguise.
Yeah, so this is what you actually receive. This does not dox anybody here, but like this is what you received. So you asked for an MOU, which is just a basic like term sheet, right? Where you're like talking about what the basic terms of the agreement are going to be, etc. Instead, you received an agreement, right? And he switched it from calling it talent agent to talent coach, right? It's still an agreement, right? Still has responsibilities here, still talks about payment. Now, this version didn't have the same payment terms. I'm assuming he was going to clip on those same terms that he had on that other agreement, right?
Probably.
But this still has responsibilities, rights. It's pretty much almost the exact same.
Mhm.
He just changed a little bit of the name here and
Yep.
made it to and said MOU here. But the point is, it says agreement, right? So despite what you
Agreement is a
call it, right?
contract.
Yeah, agreement is a tough form of contract, and MOU is something different, right? An MOU also, now in certain contexts, MOUs are like semi-binding,
Mhm.
right? But in most cases, MOUs can be terminated, right? So you can say,
Yes.
okay, I can back out of this. I can, I can lean out of this if I don't like what I see.
Yeah, an MOU, and I specifically requested that because I wanted to be able to, like, negotiate, okay, so if there's a future where a contract is signed, then you have an MOU to go off of, which kinda states the terms in which both parties are meant to be, like, proceeding whenever
Hmm.
negotiating a contract.
Hmm.
Which I have, like, my decline email. I documented everything. I basically have a paper trail of all of my conversations with this guy, because after all the under the tea stuff, I was like, I'm gonna, like, screenshot my DMs. I'm
Hmm.
gonna save my emails. It's all in a Google
Hmm.
Drive. Um, I kept everything because
Hmm.
I
As you
was
should.
I don't trust this guy, because uh, Akko's experience is a lot more personal, like, they knew the person, like,
Yep.
IRL. I did not, even though I'm Texan. Um, I was like, "I don't know this dude don't know me."
Don't dox
Um,
yourself, Juny.
I don't oh my gosh, everyone and their mother knows I'm Texan.
Dox or no doxing.
Everyone, I'm like, "I don't know this man don't know me." Like, even if you, like, look at the emails I sent, I didn't even sign with my real name. I signed with my
Hmm.
alias. He
Yeah,
never got my real name or anything.
good.
Um, which was good because had I signed this, then I would obviously have to, like, sign with my legal name, right?
Hmm.
At least to make it binding.
Well, and that's the thing that I'm really concerned about, and that's
Mhm.
another point is that are you really comfortable giving out your real name to somebody you don't know based on
Exactly.
based
Mhm,
on like suspect results? Like, hey, I'm gonna make you big, kid. I promise you.
mhm. Um, there was, like, a couple other things where I was like, "Huh." Like, the biggest thing, I was like, "Oh, I need this," because for those who don't know, I am a public educator, so I work
Hmm.
8 to 4, Monday through Friday. Um,
Got the
that takes
normie
a
job.
lot of yeah, yeah, yeah. It takes up a lot of time that you could use as a content creator, recording, editing,
Hmm.
scripting videos. So the one thing, whenever initially I was, like, being offered to be brought in, was like, "Hey, I need an editor. That's what I need. That's the one thing I
Hmm.
need."
Hmm.
Um, I wish it's the one I there was a Discord. It's the one thing I didn't screenshot. I totally just blanked on it. I was like, but in writing on that Discord, it said he told me to not worry about an editor. So I was declined, like, the one thing I asked for.
And by the way, that's the thing that to most VTubers, especially small VTubers and indies, that's the most important thing is having that editor,
Mhm.
right?
It's the
And
one
you
thing I
can
need.
just have an editor, right? You can just be like, yeah, you're my editor. You're like, you're my clipper. You're my,
Yeah.
whatever. You're my video guy or girl, whatever. Um, Totally possible. Definitely one of the most needed positions. And I think it's something that's like under hired.
Mhm.
Like if you have a manager who's like doing these like ambiguous coaching things and you don't have an editor, then you need to fire your manager and hire an editor. And then when you get to some larger level where you need brand deals or whatever else, you can hire somebody related to marketing. But one thing I would say is this: what I saw in those contracts, which really jumped out to me, especially in the agreement that was circulated to others, is that he was taking 20%, in some cases in perpetuity after the term of the contract, right? Taking 20% of any marketing opportunity, even if he did zero work on it,
Exactly.
which is insane. I have read actual talent contracts that
Mhm,
none of them read like that, where they get a cut of something they didn't bring in,
mhm.
right? They're doing no work and they're
Yeah.
getting paid. That's that I mean, it's essentially like, I don't call it a slave contract, but like it's getting pretty close where you're the one who's doing all the work. They have obligation to give you some advice, sometimes maybe, right? Whether or not that's even helpful advice doesn't matter. They just have to say, go get them, Tiger. And they fulfilled their legal requirement, right? Versus you who has to do all this reporting. You have to send them all this information. You have to make all these payment deadlines. All the burdens are on you. And there's really not much that they have to do for you at all.
Yeah. And there was like other things that like, just as I started reading what quote unquote the quote unquote MOU, the as we say, we have concepts of an MOU, right?
Yep.
Instead of
Yep.
concepts of a plan, it's concepts of an MOU, right? There was other
Mhm.
things that stood out to me,
Yep.
like the dates for written notice in order to terminate are inaccurate. It
Yep.
says 60 in writing, 14 in parentheses.
Yeah.
So
That's
in my
just sloppy.
email,
That's just somebody who's very sloppy and like not paying attention.
yeah,
Clearly, they were just taking their other agreement and copy pasting, right?
yeah. Well, I don't. This isn't. I don't even think this is theirs because I looked up that Talent LLC and they
So
like
right
sign
there,
actual people.
see like 60 parentheses 14 days. That's fucking sloppy,
There's
right?
also for
There
one
you go.
parentheses 3,
1 month
um,
parentheses 3.
and then renewed on a 3-month basis. Um,
Yep.
so I think they also ripped this from another talent agency because Bad Moon signs like actual people, like they were
Right. So
assuming
they're
they're
trying
real.
to pretend they're Bad Moon, but
Yeah.
they're the baddest. They're badder than Bad Moon. They're the bad moon.
That was stuff that stood out to me, but the big alarm bell was like that marketing opportunity, because this was supposed to be like tailored to me and my content. If you watch my channel,
Mhm.
you know I'm not a gamer.
Nope.
You know I don't do gaming content. So why is
Nope.
there gaming in my MOU?
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
It should
it's
be
a person who knows
commentary.
nothing about you, right?
Yeah, no.
They know nothing about you, and they're just saying, okay, well, I'm going to put this thing in here because it's in every agreement. Well, no. How about you tailor this, right? Specifically to you. Of course, they can't do that, right? They can't do that.
And this isn't like I'm not NDA'd or anything. I didn't sign
No.
I literally signed nothing.
Which is why we can talk about it because
Which is
you're
why I
not
can say it,
NDA.
and I can blow my whistle as loud as I want to and not
Yep,
care.
exactly. And
There's also this guy
and
doesn't even, like, know my real name. So if
and
he
and, and
even wanted to do anything, he
people
can't.
should think twice. I want people to think twice before they send shit like this,
Mhm,
particularly to small VTubers, because I think it's taking advantage of people. And the last thing I wanted, the reason why, when you brought this and Akko brought this to me, the reason why I'm covering it, people may say, "Oh, I didn't know Akko, I didn't know Juny before this." That doesn't matter. This could be you if you're a small VTuber and someone could be preying upon you, and maybe you weren't the first victim, and maybe it's not going to be this guy, but somebody else can come to you with a dog shit contract like this or opportunity saying, "Hey, kid, I'll make you big,"
mhm.
and you fall for it and you're sucked into this thing legally. And now you've got some real responsibility, right?
Yeah, which, like, the whole reason I asked for an MOU was because, like, I'm at the point, like, I'm a full-time educator. I needed to not
Yeah.
have, like, large responsibility, and I'm very, like, grateful to the person I'm working with now, is first off
Hmm.
infinitely more helpful than this dude
Hmm.
was, and also has not required me to sign a single thing,
Hmm.
which is great for me personally as a content for my situation and what I'm in. Um, I don't know. I just looked at this very technically. I was like, I was like, what would Andrew do?
Not
And
sign
Andrew
this,
throw it in the trash.
not sign this for sure.